Most men believe that making a woman feel pleasure depends mainly on penetration, and that is exactly why so many women fake pleasure for years without their partner ever noticing. What very few men understand is that the female orgasm works completely differently from the male orgasm. While male pleasure is usually fast and direct, the female body needs gradual stimulation, mental connection, and activation of the right areas. And when that happens the right way, a woman can experience levels of pleasure far more intense than most men could ever imagine. The problem is that almost nobody ever taught men how the female body actually works. And there is one specific detail that completely changes the way a woman's body responds during intimacy. The first mistake most men make is believing that female pleasure happens mainly through penetration. But the most sensitive area of the female body is outside the vaginal canal. The clitoris contains thousands of nerve endings and responds directly to continuous and gradual stimulation. The problem is that many men move too fast, apply too much pressure, or fail to notice how the woman's body is reacting. Female pleasure works much more through rhythm, emotional tension, and consistency of stimulation than through speed. And there is something even more important. When a woman feels anxiety, pressure, or expectation to reach orgasm, her body drastically reduces arousal. That is why many women seem hard to satisfy, when in reality, they simply are not being stimulated the right way. And that leads us to the second point that almost no man understands. The female brain plays a direct role in orgasm. A woman can rarely experience intense pleasure when she feels mentally exhausted, emotionally disconnected, or unsafe. Female desire begins long before physical touch. It begins with the way she feels during the experience. When there is presence, attention, and anticipation, the female body naturally increases sensitivity, and that completely changes the intensity of pleasure. Men who know how to create emotional tension before intimacy usually awaken much stronger responses in a woman's body, because the female body responds to emotional context. And there is one specific combination that increases this sensitivity even more. When blood circulation, lubrication, and nerve stimulation increase, the female body responds much more intensely to touch. That is exactly why female stimulation products have been quietly growing in popularity over the past few years. Many women realized that the problem was not a lack of desire. Their bodies simply needed to respond more intensely to stimulation again. When sensitivity increases, a woman can stay aroused for a much longer time. And that makes stronger orgasms, more frequent orgasms, and in some cases, multiple orgasms during the same experience much easier to achieve. But there is one important detail that separates ordinary men from men who truly know how to pleasure a woman. Men who awaken intense pleasure in a woman understand one simple thing. The female body does not respond only to touch. It responds to how she feels. The more relaxed, emotionally safe, and mentally stimulated she feels, the stronger her physical response becomes. That is why men who pay attention to details usually create completely different experiences during intimacy. They notice breathing, rhythm, sensitivity, and emotional reactions. Because female pleasure is not about force, it is not about speed, and it is not about exaggerated performance. It is about connection between mind, body, and the right kind of stimulation. And when that combination happens, the female body can respond in ways many men have never experienced before. Most women do not need something extreme to experience intense pleasure. They need their bodies to feel safe enough to fully respond. And when that happens, arousal increases, sensitivity changes, and pleasure stops feeling superficial. Maybe that is the biggest secret about female orgasm that almost no man ever learns. A woman's pleasure begins long before orgasm itself. It begins with the way she feels throughout the entire experience. If you want to learn more about female pleasure, sensitivity, and the kinds of stimulation that make a woman's body respond with far greater intensity, there is a link available below this video.